If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, we have Jillian Robertson on the show. She returns to action next Friday at UFC Boston, taking on Maycee Barber. Welcome, Jillian. How are you?
Doing great. Coming into the last week of fight camp, so feeling ready and ready to get this done.
I was just going to ask you, because we're 8 days away from this fight and this card, what's usually going through your mind at this point in preparation? Like, are you chomping at the bit at this point, or are you able to sort of chill out, kind of harness that emotion and just let it all come out on fight night?
I'm 100% chomping at the bit. Like, I just want to go. I'm ready to fight. Like, I guess my last couple of fights I've had a little bit shorter notice, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks notice. So to have 10-week notice for this camp and a nice long camp, it's been killing me. It's almost too long.
You've been looking fantastic since you came off The Ultimate Fighter, finishing 4 of your UFC fights, 4 out of 5. The win over Sarah Ferrata was just quite impressive with the strikes and the elbows. Is kind of ruthless. Didn't really see that side of you in a little while, but it was pretty impressive. Do you feel like everything's just coming together at the perfect time for you?
Oh, yeah. Everything really is just 100% coming together for me. I feel like I'm becoming more of a mixed martial artist than I ever have, where I'm utilizing my striking and my wrestling and my jiu-jitsu, and it makes me really unpredictable, and a lot of girls don't know how to handle it.
You got that win. You talked about sort of having short preparations for these fights. You win that last fight, and then it seemed like a few days later, it seemed like hours later, though, if you really think about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were booked for this fight in Boston with Maycee. Like, how quickly after that win at UFC 240 were you and your team approached about this fight?
All right, so I fought on Saturday night at UFC 240, and then literally it was 2 days later, Monday night at it was like 10:40 p.m. My coach texted me, and he was like, Maycee Barber, October 18th in Boston. And I was like, is it confirmed? And he was like, if you want it. And I was like, of course. And he was like, good, because I already said yeah.
So you guys have that relationship where he already pretty much knew what you were going to say.
Oh, yeah, he knows no matter what. I'm down for any fight, and especially this Maycee fight. It's one that I've wanted for a while, so I'm happy that I got it.
A lot of people feel like Maycee could be the next big star in women's MMA. So I know you've wanted to fight her. Once you found out that it was actually happening, like, what was your initial reaction to that? Were you like, oh yes, like, this is full circle. Everything's happening. Everything's coming up Jillian right now.
It almost sounds weird that, like, for my last couple of fight camps, just because they're not as big of names, they're not as big of an opponent, it was harder for me to get excited about the fight, I like a challenge, and I like when I know that I have a tough opponent in front of me. So whenever I got the Maycee Barber fight, it really excited me more than anything. I love that it's like, it gets me nervous, and I love that. I love the adrenaline. I love going in there, and I love being able to test myself at the highest level. So I'm just super excited to be able to do that with a tough opponent like Maycee.
Do you remember the last time that you felt this way heading into a fight? Like, you were, obviously you have a certain feeling about getting into a cage and fighting another woman. You have to have that feeling in some way, but this excitement, this giddiness, so to speak, do you remember the last time you felt that way?
Honestly, it was probably the last fight that I was extremely nervous for, was against Molly McCann in Liverpool. Just going into it, she was 7-1, I think, and she was just putting down girls with her hands. So going into that fight, I knew she was going to be a tough matchup, but like I said, I like testing myself. That's what keeps me going. That's why I love this. So when I know I have the tough matchup, it just makes me want to even try harder in camp and push myself even more.
Is there a particular reason why you wanted this fight with Maycee Barber so badly?
I feel like you said, she has a lot of hype behind her right now. She's a big name coming up in the UFC, and I feel like she hasn't really been tested, and I'm definitely going to be the first one to do that. She's never fought a real grappler, really. She's fought girls who are grapplers, but not at my level. And her last 3 fights have all been against girls who are predominantly strikers, like Muay Thai or boxers. So it's like she hasn't really experienced my type of my level grappling and my ground pressure. So it'll be a different world for her.
Have you been impressed with what she's done to this point? I mean, Obviously, I think strength of schedule, I think you probably would agree that you've had the tougher road at this point. I think people would agree with what you just said, but in terms of what she's had put in front of her, have you been impressed with what she's been able to do?
Oh, I'm 100% impressed by her. To be 20 years old and be 7-0 with 6 finishes, I feel like is an accomplishment on its own. And like I said, I feel like the fights I'm more nervous for are the ones I'm more excited for. So it definitely does make me nervous to fight her. She's a dangerous girl. She's been cutting up these girls. She's been TKOing girls in the UFC. So there's no reason that I shouldn't be seeing her as a threat. She's definitely she's definitely been impressive in her last couple fights. But like I said, she's never fought a grappler like me.
Do you feel like, in a weird way, that you're being overlooked here, not just by the fickle MMA fans who can be great and terrible at the same time, but by Maycee herself? Like, she seems to be trying to get on this Paige Van Zant's thing, and she's getting on her bad side, trying to secure a fight with her, all while she has this fight booked with you. It seems kind of strange to me that this is happening. How have you reacted to all of this?
Yeah, I guess, like I said before, I feel like if you're going to talk shit about somebody, talk shit about the person you got a contract with. You know, I'm right in front of you. I'm here. And you're going to try to start shit with Paige Van Zant when she's coming back, but she's irrelevant right now when you've got another tough opponent in front of you in a week. And I guess my style doesn't necessarily look intimidating. A lot of people are like, oh, I just got to avoid the takedown, until you get in there with me and you don't realize it's not that easy to just avoid the takedown. No matter what, I'm going to drag you into my world and I'm going to force you onto the ground and make sure that we're playing my game, not yours.
Do you hope that come fight week? I mean, there's this, I grew up in the Boston area, so I know what the atmosphere is like. It can get a little crazy over there. It can kind of bring different emotions to you that you may not have seen before. So do you hope that come fight week, you know, through the media day and the hubbub, she starts to talk a little trash to you, starts to focus on you with that chatter at all? Does that motivate you when girls talk trash about you?
I don't think I've really ever had that experience. Like, most of the girls that I fought have all been very professional, or we've just kind of been quiet before. There's never really any shit talk that's been going on. So I don't really know how I'd react to it necessarily. I don't think it would make a difference, though. I'm the same fighter no matter what when it comes time.
So you couldn't be possibly any more amped at this point. Like, you just want to fight. You don't care what she says. Let's just do this thing.
Oh yeah, I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to get another finish on my record. There's no way this fight's going 3 rounds. I'm gonna make sure I go in there and get to the throat quick.
Have you been to Boston before?
Oh no, this will be a first time.
Are you excited to check out and compete in one of the country's fighting cities here in the United States?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. It's an awesome card to be on too. There's a lot of good. There are gonna be like wars going on.
A lot of people think this fight card is thin, and I'm like, really look at the matchups here. I think it's better than the Tampa card. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's gonna be tough to get the 50K this card. I'm trying to shoot for that every card. I start looking at the matchups. I'm like, ooh, that one's gonna be a tough one. That one's gonna be a tough one.
I know you're expecting a finish. I know you're expecting the judges to be able to sit back and relax and just enjoy the action. But when you visualize this fight playing out, do you see a particular way that you get the job done? Or you're just looking for whatever happens here?
I feel like no matter what, it's just a race to see how fast I can get to the throat. That's all I'm looking for. I'm just going for the rear naked choke. And whether it takes me 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, I'm just going for it. And if I get stopped with strikes before that, then that's what happens. But I'm just going to be constantly searching for the throat, and you won't be able to defend it.
Where does a win over someone like a Maycee Barber do for you in this division? I mean, I think she's ranked 12. You're in the top 15 as well. Be 3 straight wins for you. I would guess that jumps you up quite a bit.
I'm hoping it does. I'm guessing it does. Like you said, she's ranked number 12. I'm ranked 15. So I'm assuming that I get pushed up a little bit, maybe the 11 or 10 spot. That'd be nice. So to look at the top 10 after this would be definitely good for my future opponents.
We saw a great photo on your Instagram page a few days ago. You as a young child taking a picture with a dog, and you stated, quote, "forcing dogs to take pictures with me since '95." I have to know, how old were you in that photo? What was sort of the inspiration behind that one?
I think I was probably like 5 or 6 in that photo. Yeah, that was the inspiration behind it. I'm not sure. I don't know. My brother just sent me it the other day, and I came across it. I thought it was funny because still doing the same thing today with my dog, forcing him to take pictures with me, except not as aggressive. There I had both hands on his face, making him look at the camera.
That's so fun though, right?
Oh yeah, it's crazy to see. It's crazy to think back that it's probably about like almost 20 years ago.
It's crazy how the world just kind of circles around like that. And then you see those photos, you're like, oh yeah, you can kind of put yourself there, but then you don't realize that it was so long ago.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely insane.
I wanted to ask you about this, a couple more things before we let you go. I know you're getting ready for the fight and getting ready to head to Boston in a few days, but everything going on in Tampa right now, like we saw the reports about Joanna struggling to make weight, Michelle Waterson sort of being chastised for not taking a catchweight fight. Now it seems like there was some smoke to the reports, but they're not wholly accurate, I guess. It's kind of crazy. So I want to ask you, like, being an up-and-coming fighter, being a woman that is trying to get into that position of headlining a card, being on the marquee, a win or two away from a title shot, like, what have you made of everything going on in the last couple of days and how it's being handled?
I guess I feel like no matter what, if you're like Joanna's my teammate, and I've got all the respect in the world for her, and I have faith that she's gonna make weight, like she says she's going to. And I feel like as a professional, that's something that you should do. And obviously Michelle isn't. She's not forced to take the fight either. If it's like she agreed to the contract at 116, and if her opponent can't make it, she doesn't have to take the fight. It's her choice, and in the position that she's in, that might be the smarter option for her.
I guess what I was saying is more how the media sort of reacted to everything, because it seemed like it created this big smoke storm, and once like one report comes out and then once somebody else jumps on it, everybody starts jumping on it. And then you talk to Joanna and it's like, listen, it's not Friday yet. Like, did I miss something? Did I miss the weigh-ins? And I feel like everybody just sort of like jumped on this situation without really getting all the facts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely feel like there were some reports released, and like you said, everybody jumped on it. It became big news fast, but it's not Friday yet. Tomorrow morning we find out whether she does or not. And like I said, she's my teammate, and I believe in her 100% that she can do it.
When do you head to Boston?
Monday morning, I'll be up there.
Are you? I mean, fall in New England is something else. The leaves are all changed. The trees. It's like nice 50, 60 degrees. It's like the best time to be in Boston, so that's got to fire you up. Plus, there's tons of dog parks around there.
I'll just go to the dog parks without my dog, just pet other people's dogs.
You can take so many pictures. Your Instagram will be blowing up with pictures of other people's dogs. It'll be awesome. It'll be amazing. But really looking forward to this fight, Jillian. I appreciate the time so close to the fight. As you get ready to take on Maycee Barber next Friday at UFC Boston. That card's going to air on ESPN2, so don't miss it. Jillian, before we let you go, let the folks know where they can find and follow you on the web, social media, where they can find pictures of you and your dog, any shout-out sponsors, anything else you want to get off your chest. The floor is yours.
If you want to follow Creating Better Days CBD, Chef Fit Meal Plans, and FTWR brand, where you can go ahead and get your Savage shirts. And then follow me on Twitter and Instagram at savage_UFC. And then watch me get my hand raised October 18th in Boston.
Thank you, Jillian. It was great catching up with you. We'll see you in Boston next week.
Thank you so much for having me.